Hey, what's going on, friends and foes? Today we're going to go on a very special journey because if you've been living under a stone, you have heard that Big 45, the former president, has been charged on federal charges, 34 of them to be exact. Now, I keep asking the lovely people in the comment sections on social media pages and such who are saying, lock him up, lock him up. I keep asking them, like, what is the actual crime? And I'm not being facetious. It's that I actually don't understand what the crime is. Now, I'm not here to say that he's innocent or guilty. I'm not trying to convince anything that they should love Trump or dislike Trump. I just want to understand what the charges are because I legitimately don't understand. And every time I ask somebody, every time I ask one of these wonderful people who are so happy about this man getting charged and potentially going to jail, they're like, oh, well, just do your own research. From what I understand, we're not supposed to do our own research, right? Last time we did our own research, those same people were losing their minds. But what would logic be if it wasn't hypocrisy? So who cares? So together on this very special day, we're going to dive into it and we're going to do our research together. Now, if you're like me and you're confused what the f is going on and why is Big 45 getting jailed, then this video is for you. Or if you're just obsessed with the guy for some reason. I mean, he's pretty cool, but, you know, that's beyond the point. I'm going to try to be as non-biased as possible, okay? I will tell you my stance is that I like the guy. I think he was a great president. A lot of people made a lot of money under him. But I understand why some people would dislike him, okay? I think the same people that are so obsessed with the guy, I think the red MAGA hat is basically just the right-wing mask or blue hair, you know what I mean? Like, or like a pride flag. People say, oh, that's the gay thing. They're just making that their whole personality. Then their whole personality is like freedom, but also they don't want anybody to be able to do what they want to do in their own personal lives. But that's not why we're here. It might be why we're here, but that's not my intention. So let's dive into it. You know, from what I understand, there was a lady named Stormy Daniels who is a adult film star or something. A little before my time, I got into that kind of stuff at the tail end of the Bush era, no pun intended. And so I'm not very familiar with her, okay? But from what I understand, Trump hooked up with her something, did some adult things with her with a consenting adult sex worker, and I guess allegedly he paid her some hush money. Now we're going to dive deeper into this. I'm just telling you what I know right now. So we're kind of we have a baseline of what we're diving into. So from what I understand, she got paid some hush money, but he told his lawyer to pay her out of pocket and he would pay him back after the campaign because he does not want to pay her with campaign funds. That's what I've gathered so far. Now, I have no idea. Nobody can answer my question. I mean, I've asked so many people like, hey, I'm not being facetious. I'm like, well, what exactly is he getting charged for? They're like, oh, where were you on January 6th? Because most probably more like, where were you on January 6th? I was at home. I was watching it. And I was disgusted the same way you were, the same way I was when all the other people were tearing up the streets, you know? So anyways, let's dive into it. Let's start with a very, very, very simple Google search. Now, some of you are going to be like, Google, go do something else. Maybe we will, okay? Maybe we will. But let's start basic, okay? What is, Donald Trump being charged for? Donald Trump found guilty on all counts of hush money trial. All right. What was Donald Trump convicted of? Well, this is actually a lot. I was trying to find this yesterday and I couldn't find. I doubt that. Former President Donald Trump's conviction in New York stemmed from $130,000 hush money payment his attorney Michael Cohen made to adult film star in the days before the 2016 election. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Don't all these people, like the Drakes and stuff of the world, don't they make all the girls give up their phones and sign NDAs because they don't want their business being everywhere? Now, you might be like, well, Donald Trump is a married man. He's a ultra-conservative. He's a blah, blah, blah. Aren't most of the people that hate Trump against conservatism and pro-sex worker and like, don't kink shame? Anyways, if anything, he was trying to hide this from his base. He was probably trying to hide from the conservative base that he was paying a sex worker. And now, ironically, his whole conservative base is like, this is a fucking outrage. Prosecutors said the deal was meant to keep voters in the dark about Daniels' allegations. Yeah, what politician doesn't pay people off? This is a slippery slope. All you politicians out there, you should be worried because this is a very slippery slope. Now, what was Trump convicted of? Trump was charged with 34 counts of falsification of business records in the first degree, which is a felony in New York. He pleaded not guilty when he was arraigned last year. In 2017, Cohen and Alan Weisselberg, GAOO, next executive at the Trump Organization, reached an agreement about how Cohen would be repaid for $130,000 he sent to Daniels in exchange for her silence. Blah, 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 detailed the calculations. I mean, what are we reaching for here? Who gives a flying fuck? I mean, would you guys, like, what? Cohen would receive $130,000 for the Daniels case plus $50,000 intended for a technology company that did unrelated work for Trump. That amount was doubled to account for taxes that Cohen would have to pay in the income. Weisselberg then tacked on an extra $60,000 as a bonus for Cohen, who was upset that his regular year-end award had been cut. The total worked out to $420,000. Okay, well, I mean, you know, if you spot somebody $130,000 to silence a porn star, Cohen would be paid in a series of monthly payments of $35,000 over the course of 2017. The first check was for $70,000 covering 2 months. Cohen sent an invoice to the Trump Organization for each check, portraying the payment as his retainer. Every time he was paid, a bookkeeper generated a record for the company's files known as a voucher with the description legal expense. Well, what else was it? I mean, would you guys rather, right? Would you guys rather keep funding every freaking war on planet Earth and be paying $200 for 2 bags of groceries, or have a guy pay a chick an NDA to keep her mouth shut? Plus, did she, by her speaking out about it, did she, you know, is he going to sue her? He should sue her because she broke the clause, right? You can't just take the money and go around running your big mouth about it. Shows character she's made out of. It's not like she was trying to make a moral stance about like, oh, the president's doing this. She was just like, oh, I can get some money off this story. But she's like, let me just take some bribe money instead. Dirty. Each of the 34 charges against Trump corresponded to a check, invoice, and voucher generated to reimburse Cohen. Okay, but like, still, who cares? Prosecutors said Trump knew the payments were to reimburse Cohen for the Daniels payment. Yeah, I'm sure he didn't have other things to worry about. Not for his legal expenses. The jury voted to convict on all 34 counts. As Trump looked on, the court's clerk asked the foreperson of the jury for the verdict. How you say to the first count of indictment charging Donald J. Trump with the crime of falsifying business records in the first... Bro, this is crazy. All right? All things aside, this is crazy. Because if they're going to come after this guy for this, I mean... Oh boy, I've done worse things this week. Donald Trump, the crime of falsifying, guilty. Why were the charges a felony? Under New York law, falsification. Well, if it's New York law, how can it be a federal offense? What are we talking about? Falsification of business records is a crime when the records are altered with an intent to defraud. Who got defrauded? Who got defrauded? She got her money. Oh my God. To be charged as a felony, prosecutors must show that the offender intended to commit another crime or aid or conceal another crime while falsifying records. Oh boy. In Trump's case, prosecutors said that the other crime was a violation of New York election law that makes it illegal for any 2 or more persons to conspire or prevent the election of a person to a public office by unlawful means. So what has the media been doing for the last couple of years? They've been conspiring. That's what this whole thing is. This whole thing is conspiring against Trump. Do you think this would be going on if he was running? They've been trying to get him since 2015 for something. Now finally, this is what they get to stick. The guy who's allegedly Hitler, this is what sticks, that he paid a porn star. Oh my Lord, dude. This is wild. Imagine if like Cuomo, right? Imagine if like Craig Cuomo or what's that really creepy guy, the California guy? What's his name? The fucking Vault Tech guy. this is driving me crazy. Newsom? Governor? Yeah, Newsom. Greg Newsom is his name. I didn't even need to Google it. What if you found out, oh, Newsom paid Sky Bree $200,000 to not talk about titty fucking her? I wouldn't give a shit. I'd be like, oh, yeah, he's still a terrible governor, but I don't care. Fucking redonk, dude. Jurors did not agree on underlying unlawful means were, but they did have to be unanimous. Oh my God, I bet you these jurors were terrified. Yeah, you did. Can you imagine being part of this jury? Telling this at a bar someday? It's like that guy who went on the date with Beyonce, you know, and he's got that, or the prom with Beyonce. Did so with intent to defraud that included an intent to commit another crime or aid. This makes no sense. Look at Bigfoot. Oh, this is the worst. A lot of people have said this is the worst trial. Trump's lawyers argue that the payments to Cohen were for his work as Trump's attorney, not reimbursements for Daniels' payment. I mean, how do you distinguish them? What Trump should have done is be like, so what? So what? That would have been my defense. I would have been like, hey, judge, guess what? Hey, jury, is this what we care about? Do you want to keep paying $9 for a carton of eggs? Do you want to keep bombing Palestine? Do you want to keep having Israel just up our snoots? Do you want to keep sending all our money to Ukraine to fight a never-ending war in Russia while we have a bunch of homeless veterans? You just keep wanting people flooding over the border in record numbers, bringing all sorts of diseases and crime. Like, oh, that's fear-mongering. Oh, but what is this? If Donald Trump gets elected, he's never going to leave office. If Donald Trump this, like, and then they like, oh, that's all fear-mongering. That's a conspiracy. Everything's always a conspiracy theory. When will Trump be sentenced? Well, let's see. Trump's lawyer argued payments, blah, blah, blah. The defense argued that the descriptions on the invoices and records were accurate. Cohen held the title personal attorney to the president once Trump took office and was being paid for his legal services under an unwritten retainer agreement. Therefore, their argument went, no business records were falsified. Imagine being the lawyer to the president, you know? That'd be crazier than being the president. They also focused much on their firepower in portraying Cohen as a liar, with the goal of discrediting his testimony. Cohen was the only witness who testified that Trump knew about the true purpose of the reimbursements. A crucial pillar. Didn't he like steal? Was it him? So didn't somebody, like the number one witness, was it this guy, like stole money from him? I think not. Okay, we're gonna have to go look at like a fucking Fox News thing after this or something, because I want to see the other side. I want to see both extremes. This is CBS. I don't think it's not quite CNN, but shortly after the verdict was handed down, Mershon, the judge, set Trump's sentence date for July 11th. Strange timing, just before the start of the Republican National Convention. Under New York law, each count of falsifying business records in the first degree carries a maximum sentence of 4 years in prison and a $5,000 fine. But Mershon has broad discretion when it comes to imposing a sentence. Most legal observers expect him to punish Trump with little or no time behind bars. Could you imagine he's running the company behind a BlackBerry, dude? Yes, Sonny. Dude, no. Based on Trump's status, first-time offender of his age, Merchant could instead rely on options like probation, home confinement, or solely a fine. Trump has vowed to appeal. Okay, let's look at the judge's politics. I want to know the judge's politics. Judge Merchant. The quote, no nonsense judge. Oh God, CNN. I don't trust CNN. I don't trust any of these things, dude. Does this guy not have like a Wikipedia or something? Juan Merchant, is that him? A Colombian-born American judge and former prosecutor. He's the acting justice. Yep. He presided over the 2024 criminal trial of former U.S. President Donald Trump, which was convicted. Merchant, okay, early life career as prosecutor. He Office, Trial Division, Investigations Division. He prosecuted financial frauds and other cases from 1999 to 2006. I don't know about his politics. Bloomberg appointed him to New York, blah, blah, blah. He remained that role till 2009. Acting Justice. During the 2020 United presidential election, Merchant donated $15 to Democratic Party candidate Joe Biden's campaign. $10 to the Progressive Turnout Project and $10 to Stop Republicans. Where'd this source come from? $35 political contribution to Democrats raises fresh scrutiny of Judge Merchant. Yeah, as it should. Should judges be even allowed to, I mean, I guess they're citizens at the end of the day, but damn. Judge overseeing, I mean, even CNN is, this is just so screwed up, dude. This is so screwed up. The political donations are undoubtedly small, but they nevertheless raise a question about Merchants. Why would he even donate that money, such a small amount? This guy must make at least $250,000 a year. While the amounts were minimal, surprising a sitting judge would make political donations. And he's making a statement. Stop Republicans? Oh my. This is Revolutionary War Round 2 fuel, dude. I'm not calling it a civil war because the liberals ain't American anymore. All right, now let's go check out, keep on reading. Republicans defend Trump after verdict. Yada, yada, yada. All right, let's go check out of course, Google's hiding Fox News. Look. It's all left wing. All of it. They're not showing any Fox News. Dude, this is if you pay attention, it all points to civil war. Yikes. All right, here we go. Let's see what Fox is saying. Former President Trump, can we just watch the video? Instead of me trying to read.
President Trump has just walked through those doors. He's walking up to the microphones now. Red tie today, Bill Henry. You want to find a notice, and here you go.
Do you trust God? Well, thank you very much, everybody. Make no mistake about it. I'm here because of crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country. Is destroying our country. This country is being destroyed rapidly, not slowly, rapidly. On the borders, on energy, on inflation, on everything you can name. Afghanistan removal, everything about what he's done. He's destroying our country. And he's also destroying it with weaponization. And this is purely his weaponization. See who's in the courtroom. You go, just see who's in the courtroom. You'll see, and you'll see where they come from. And if you report it accurately, a lot of people are going to be very upset. But this is all election hunting, election interfering. It's going after Joe Biden's political
I mean, God, if they're willing to do this, they'd be willing to tamper with an election, I'm sure.
Conflicted. He happens to be corrupt. It's the worst confliction. It's the worst that anybody's seen. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. There can't even be the prospect of an impropriety. And it's a shame. Wall Street Journal editorial report today, Alvin Bragg hasn't proved his case in the Trump trial. The evidence shows why the charges should never have been brought. After 20 days in court and a trial transcript of 4,000 pages, the missing piece is still the missing piece. There is no crime. Wall Street Journal.
I mean, even if there is, who cares? That's what I'm having a hard time understanding.
Is to use a physical
how uptight do you have to be?
If any three-legged stool is missing and any leg is missing, the stool absolutely collapses. Even a cursory review of the evidence shows that this case does not have a leg to stand on. This is a case without a leg to stand on.
They're going to find something, dude. House of Cards.
The case against Trump should end in a very strong not guilty. Not guilty. I don't know these people, but they're great legal scholars. Greg Jarrett, every defendant has the fundamental right to be informed of the nature, the cause of the accusation against him. But Bragg never abided by that constitutional guarantee. Even worse, Mershon
Someone pick up the
let
phone.
him get away with it. He let Bragg get away with it. A trial that Bragg didn't want to put. And he should have done it 7 years ago if they were going to do it. They should have brought this case 7 years ago, not in the middle of my presidential election, where I'm leading by a lot, Biden by a lot. They brought it right in the middle of the election.
It's pretty
Hopefully it
respectable.
doesn't
Trump
work out.
does not give up, dude.
Same way
This dude does
allowed
not
the law
fold.
to be
He just
misused
keeps
to
grinding.
enforce a federal
I would
law
have given up a
which he has
long
no
time
authority
ago.
or jurisdiction. They have a federal law
I'd be sitting on my billies at Mar-a-Lago, chilling with Melania.
Andy McCarthy, former FEC Commissioner Bradley Smith, that's the expert that they wouldn't allow me to use, the #1 in the country. FEC Commissioner Bradley Smith's testimony would have established that Trump cannot have willfully violated FECA, that's Federal Election Campaign Act, because NDAs are not campaign expenditures. You know, there's nothing wrong with an NDA. They're signed all the time by many, many companies. They sign them literally on an hourly basis. Because NDAs cannot have, and then it says Trump did not have a FECA legal duty with respect to them. He could not have intentionally flouted the known legal duty. In other words, he's innocent. Mark Levin, same thing. The Bragg case is about lawfare run amok against a former president running again for president. It also represents the greatest effort to interfere with and steal an election. Donald Trump did nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. This is everybody saying it. Except we have a judge who's corrupt. We have a judge who's conflicted. You know what the conflict is, so do I, but I can't say it because I'm under a gag order, which is another unconstitutional thing. You ever hear of a president, leading candidate, leading Biden, leading everybody, and have a gag order? I'm not allowed to speak. It's a first.
That's crazy.
No president has not been allowed to speak. But this is it.
Oh, dude, heads are gonna roll, bro. Heads are going to roll.
This is crazy. This is not the trial that should happen. It's a very sad day. This is a dark day in America. We have a rigged court case that should have never been
God, he's
brought.
exposed so much just corruption in this country. It's kind of crazy.
And the judge never allows us anything.
I think it's because he's the first one, you know, he's the first one that wasn't like, you see the pictures of Bush hanging out with, you know, Bush hanging out with Obama and Clinton. Like all these guys are just all buddy, you know? And then here comes Trump. He's not part of the crew. You know, he's not part of the boys. And he comes in there. And so it's like, oh, we got this guy who's not just going to do what we decide to do at our Eyes Wide Shut parties. And they hate him. I do think it's funny when Trump tries to act like this blue collar guy, you know, I mean, he is, you know, that's not the case, but he's just like a New York dude. He's just a bro, you know, he's just a bro and he doesn't, I don't know. I said I was going to try to be neutral, but so now we understand what he's allegedly being charged for. Yeah, I don't know, dude. It sounds like a bunch of bullshit in my opinion, but it is what it is, dude. Very cool.